everyone, this is Cindy Creating the Heart, and today I'm going to be making backgrounds for the stamp and die of the month from the Not Too Shabby shop. This is very cute Oh My Stars stamp set, kind of 4th of July themed, so we're kind of getting our summer on early, and we're going to be making 4 different cards using 3 different techniques for backgrounds. And so we're going to be using this stamp, and the first background that we're going to make is an alcohol ink background. It's a really quick one. Just make sure you cover your surface because that stuff will get everywhere and dye everything. So I'm going to be using blue and red. I'm also going to be using a white mixative and a silver mixative. Those two are from Ranger. The alcohol ink and blending solution, I just put down blending solution, that I'm using is from Barely Arts. And I got this little kind of starter pack from the Not Too Shabby shop. So I laid down some blending solution, and now I'm laying down a couple drops of the blue, kind of swirled it around, and then added my red. And these are very bright, vibrant, sorts of colors. And so I'm not using any fancy tools. It's really kind of a swirling technique, just kind of having the colors kind of blend together and kind of just cover this paper I'm using. And I'm using an alcohol ink paper from Ranger. So I'm going to put this white mixative on top, and the mixative kind of sits on top of the alcohol ink. It blends a little bit, but it kind of sits on top because it's not really an alcohol. I forget exactly what Tim Holt says it's made out of. So I'm adding a little extra blue because I felt like it needed a little bit more color. I'm not going to be covering the entire panel. I'm just going to be covering part of it. It's just going to be very sort of organic. And then I'm going to add my silver. This is also a mixative, and it also sits on top of the alcohol ink. I have a whole video when I was playing with these alcohol inks when I first got them, so you can check my channel for that. But all I'm doing is swirling it around and kind of mixing the color up just a tad. And I'm going to set that aside and let it dry. Next, I'm going to be using Lunar pastes. Now, I love the pastes. I've tried just about all the pastes, and I would say that most of them dry out very quickly. And Lunar paste is one of the ones I found that so far hasn't dried out. So I enjoy that they're smaller bottles too, but they're a really great product, very creamy. They have a metallic kind of finish. There's different tools that you can use for it. So one of the ones I'm showing is kind of just putting the ink right on there and kind of using that big palette knife thing to spread your paste. And so you also can use a sponge. And so for the panel that I'm using, I already let it dry. I took 5 colors and just spread it across using a sponge just across there. And then I took the fireworks stamp and stamped it and kind of let that dry. And so I've got my panel on some foam. I'm going to go ahead and get that foam panel down. And I really like the kind of, it kind of looks like they're in the desert. It's kind of what I kind of thought they looked like they were in the desert. So I used these cute little foxes. So the foxes are in the desert and they're looking up, we'll pretend they're looking up at the fireworks. And so I've got those little guys on foam tape, and I use my Copics to color them in, just some simple coloring. And then I've got my sentiment. And so my sentiment I just stamped on white with black ink, and then I used my very favorite, I think it's a modern, called Modern Label, but it's a Stampin' Up! Punch from a long time ago, and I will never sell that sucker. I still love it to this day. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to use my Barely Arts glue, and I'm going to go ahead and put some glue in the centers of those fireworks, and I'm going to put some Pink Fresh Studio kind of shimmery gems in the center of the kind of a silver gem, and I think they're like a silver gem. I'm going to go ahead and put those in the middle. I forgot to bring my little sticky tool with me, a little pick tool, but that's okay. I'm going to use my fat fingers to go ahead and place those in the centers for just a little bit of extra kind of bling. And I think I've got a couple that are going to just be out and about, but just gives it a little extra something. And then kind of set those aside and kind of let that glue dry so that it will adhere your gems. And just a really quick and easy way to create a cool backdrop for your images. So there you go. That is using the pastes, and I used paste also for this card. So on this card I just put that light blue paste right on the paper panel, and I also used the pastes on another panel and die cut, actually stamped and then die cut my balloon. And so you can see that pasted balloon right there. So I've got this panel also on foam, so I'm going to take the foam off and adhere this to my A2 size card. What's really cool about this stamp set and the die is that the die cuts out the little arms for the polar bear, or whatever kind of bear he is. And so in this scenario, I have him holding some ice cream. So he's holding an ice cream cone, and I'm going to just kind of put my balloon behind the bear, and I've got the bear on some foam. And so for my sentiment, I'm using hooray, because that way you could use this card for birthday or thank you or hello. And so I really like how that one came out. Okay, so now I'm going to bring this card where I used the firework stamp, the 2 different sizes with 3 different colors of ink, and it's the stars stamp, and went ahead and created my own background. So all you do is just stamp in red, then blue, and then I did the stars in yellow. And so I'm going to adhere that to a navy blue card mat. And then that card mat is going to be adhered to an A2 size card. So, but it's a good way, easy way to make your own background, is just use the stamps. I don't do that very often. So I'm going to go ahead and adhere that to my card panel. And I've got a red circle that I just used one of my circle dies, and I've gone ahead and I've stamped and put my sentiment right on that red circle, and I used white embossing powder for that. Let's put that right there. And then I have got the little, I think it's a raccoon, and he has a little firework. And so very cute. And then I've got some other gems, and so I'm going to do, it's very similar to what I did with the other card, is I'm going to go ahead in the centers of the fireworks, I'm going to place a little Pink Fresh Studio gem, and put one on that red panel as well. And then this way it'll give it a little bit of shine and a little bit of interest, because this is a fairly simple card. And I'm just placing those gems right in the centers of the fireworks. So I don't know if you guys do fireworks where you live. I happen to live in a city where they allow fireworks. So usually we have the 4th of July is held at my house. We can do fireworks. And they get pretty loud and crazy by my house too. Okay, so there we go with card number 3. And now we're going to bring in the alcohol panel that's now dry. And you can see it's just this kind of organic thing. So what I did was I went ahead and I put double-sided tape on my A2 size card, and then I'm just going to place that alcohol ink panel right on top, just in case it's not completely dry. I think it's pretty dry, but just in case. And then I have my USA little bunny that I've colored with Copics, and then I've got my 4th of July sentiment, and that one was embossed with silver embossing powder. So we did 4 cards using 3 different background techniques. Well, 3 different, I guess it's 4 different techniques, but 3 different really techniques. So all these different ways that you can make backgrounds for your cards. Thank you for watching. Be sure to visit Not Too Shabby.